Hey, you are listening to 1170 AM The Answer. I am Steven Wener, your host for Whissel Wednesdays. Kyle Whissel is out, and I am joined with some fantastic guests, but we are going to roll into speaking with Mr. Jeff Ackley. Jeff is a tax partner and a CPA with Lindsay Brownell. And I wanted to get into some of the things that people don't really understand about a professional of your caliber as a CPA versus TurboTax, or just thinking that they can hire H&R Block to do their taxes. Because I think the fallacy people don't really understand is you're their partner. You're not just doing their numbers so that they can pay taxes. So some of the things that you would love to get off your chest to dispel any of these fallacies, I really welcome. So we're turning it over to Mr. Ackley.
Well, thanks, Steve. I think one of the things to talk about, you bring up TurboTax, for example. There's definitely a place for those programs, and there are people that have a simple return, and that might be fine for them.
Sure.
But the problem is TurboTax is a question and answer driven program, and if you aren't clear on what question they're really asking, the odds that you're giving the right answer go way down.
Okay.
And so, it's the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. And so if you don't have the right information going in, you're not going to have the right information coming out. The other thing is there are questions outside of the realm of just here's what goes on a tax form that should be asked in order to make sure that planning is being done, make sure that they're structuring transactions the way they should be. It's all going to depend on the complexity of their tax return.
Okay.
So now, having said that, our firm, for example, might not be the best for everybody, because everybody might not have a situation that's complicated enough that they want to go to a firm of our size. But I still think it's important for them to seek the help of a professional. That sounds kind of
Sure.
seek the help of a professional. But, there are other firms, smaller firms, where you're still getting the services of a CPA and getting help to the answering the questions that you have, whether it's retirement planning, planning for purchase or sale of a house or an investment property, those types of things. You want to have the help of a professional in order to have them ask you the right questions.
So as far as an ideal client for you, or what you're really looking for when you know that your services really stand out above others, or what you were saying, for some people TurboTax may work, for others maybe a smaller type of a CPA firm, but what gets you excited when you see something that you're like, I know this is it. I'm going to take this person from point A to point B more so than they ever even imagined. What does that look like?
Well, for us, it's going to be somebody who is engaged in the process. It's not somebody that just wants to dump off their a box full of receipts and tax forms and have us prepare a return, and then we send it to them and we don't see them again for another year.
So you mean people do that? They just drop off boxes of receipts?
Yeah, actually they do. We call it the old shoebox return. They come in with a shoebox full of paperwork, and that's not efficient for them either, because they're paying us to sort through papers instead of paying us to give them good advice about their taxes. So for us, somebody that excites us is somebody that's engaged in the process and that needs help more than just once a year. So a lot of the clients that we're working with, we're doing tax planning, whether it's estimated payment planning, whether it's revolving around transactions, possibly they have real estate holdings. We're doing 1031 exchanges. They might have rental properties. They want to know, what can I deduct? How do I do the depreciation? Those types of things. So it's people that we can work with throughout the year, and that are looking for more than, I say, just a tax return being prepared.
Right. And when you're looking at these people, are you finding that generally these people will also follow your lead? Because sometimes people have their own agendas, what they think they can do, or try to direct you. So are you also finding your way in where you're their advisor, you're their consultant, and that's the typical type of client that you're also trying to take on? So if you can elaborate on that, because I know that there are incredible complexities within tax code, right?
Right.
And how to work it. And so many people, that's not their profession, but even in my world, being a real estate broker, people want to tell me how to do my job. And I go, well, that's not necessarily how we're going to manage your investment. So let me reframe this for you.
Well, and there's a fine line between telling me how to do my job and asking questions. We certainly never want a client to feel like they can't ask questions.
Right.
Because that's important. In order for us to give them the best advice, we have to have all of the appropriate information. And a lot of times that comes through the question and answer that goes on between us. And that's not just us asking them questions, but them asking questions as well. We also want to make sure that they know when to ask a question. I mean, the worst situation is when somebody comes in after the year has ended and they say, oh, you know what, I did this. You know, what can we do to minimize the taxes? And most of the time the answer is nothing, because
So
the
once
year
it's New
has
Year's
ended.
Day, once New Year's Day hits,
yeah.
it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things you can do, but not too many. So we want them to ask us the question before they enter into the transaction, or as close to it as possible, so that we have time to plan for it before the year ends. That's a very important part of the process. So, but yes, to answer your question about their level of involvement, I don't want someone telling me what they want the answer to be, but I want them asking questions. And it's also important for us that we're involved with the other professionals. For example, someone like Ty,
Right.
if that's the investment advisor, I know their firm takes a similar approach to ours, in the sense that, we kind of want to be, since we were talking sports earlier, kind of the quarterback of the team, but we're not the only player on the team. So, we want to know who their attorney is, who their investment, wealth advisor is,
Who the real estate broker is, who the mortgage guy is.
their banker, their, all of the whole team.
Right.
So that when something happens, if it's going to impact another part of their financial plan, we're in contact with those people and we're all on the same page. If you have one person doing something that's contrary to what the other person planned, you're not going to get a good answer.
So one of the things that I come across from time to time, and this is why I was asking, do your clients tell you what to do, or do you help navigate them? Sometimes people are absolutely adamant that they want to list their house at X. And I try to explain that X is not where you need to be. We need to be here. And sometimes people are just very fixed on how they want to initially begin. And sometimes people have to go through that learning curve, but I'll also create a future expectation. If we go here, my professional belief is this may not work. So within X amount of days, if that doesn't work, then we'll go over here. Is that okay? So I would love to understand what you go through. Maybe you can just briefly explain to our listeners, when you sit down with a new client that you know is ideal, what are some of the things that you're opening them up to so they understand or see a bigger picture, as opposed to, oh, I'm meeting Jeff, he's going to help me with my taxes?
Well, a lot of it on our initial meeting, it's going to come back to that question and answer that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a big part of our job is to be educators as well. And every client is going to have a different level of engagement that they're going to want in that process. Some people want to understand every single line of the tax return. Some people say, here, do my taxes. I don't understand it, and I don't care. Mm-hmm. But our goal is to give them some level of education on it, not so that they can go off and do their own tax return, but so that they, again, know what the potential issues are and what they should be asking us throughout the year. So we actually have a few people in our firm, both Steve Brownell and Mark Lindsay used to teach, and I actually used to teach at a community college too. So I think we have sort of that teaching gene in us that, we want to teach our clients and educate them on what's going on in the process, so that they, again, can give us the best information so that we can help them to our fullest capability.
So when you know that somebody's underutilizing what they could be investing, whether it's in 401k or other securities, mm-hmm. how do you bring somebody like Ty into the conversation?
Well, part of what we try to do at the start of every engagement is to find out who everybody's financial advisor, all
their
those
team.
Financial
Right.
server, their team. Yeah, thank you. And so if they don't have somebody in that position, mm-hmm. Immediately, we're going to try to help connect them with somebody. So someone like Ty, and have them come in and help them out with that, because it's important that they have a full team. Particularly if they have some amount of wealth and there's planning to be done, that they have a full team in place so that we can give them a coordinated effort in their planning.
And with people that are going to be, in a sense, brought over to different vendors that you trust and want to refer to, if you see something is missing within somebody's wealth piece, as far as when you understand what they want to establish, what they want to grow, how would you make that introduction to somebody like Ty, and then what would you expect from somebody like Ty?
Well, normally we'll give somebody more than one name, and I think Ty would agree. They do the same thing. You don't want to lock into one person because everybody's
help them with the options.
Right, right. We'll give them options.
So you would say Ty Summerlin and Ty Summerlin.
Yeah. Well,
just like I would say Jeff and Jeff.
Yeah. So, and then make either a phone call or email introduction initially to let somebody know that person is in need of that help, and give them a little background without disclosing any confidential information, just so that they're prepared for the conversation, and kind of help the client understand what questions they should be asking Ty when they call him, so that he can best answer their questions and tell them how he can help them.
Yeah, so one of the things, Jeff, that I go through is I always make certain my clients send me their taxes before they file them, right? Because as a mortgage banker, a lot of times CPAs are trying to do the best thing, and it may hurt the client on what their plan is, like you're talking about, and that's why you bring in the team. So I want to ask a question when we come back from the break, Steve, but basically regarding the short-term liabilities. A lot of CPAs and clients make that mistake. They put all their credit cards on short-term liabilities, and it may impact getting them approved on their next loan. Again, you're listening to Whissel Wednesday, 1170 AM The Answer.